ever felt attraction shift almost instantly? Like something changed in a single moment, even though you were trying to do the right thing? One conversation feels normal. The next, the energy is different. Subtly cooler, slightly distant. You replay what you said. You wonder if you were too honest, too available, too understanding. Nothing you did was wrong on the surface. In fact, it may have felt mature, responsible, even loving. Yet somehow, the dynamic tilted, and you can feel it. Most men are told attraction fades because of time, routine, or external temptation. So when it changes quickly, the instinct is to work harder, explain more, prove stability. But sometimes, the very adjustment you make in an effort to secure the connection is what quietly weakens it. This isn't about manipulation or pretending to be someone you're not. It's about understanding how certain shifts in behavior can alter perception in ways that aren't immediately obvious. In this video, we're going to look closely at what that moment actually is and why it carries more weight than most people realize. At Femina Mind, we need to agree on a realistic perspective. Attraction is not a logical decision. She does not sit down, write a list of your pros and cons, and then decide, today I will be attracted to him. Instead, attraction is a biological system that reacts to signals of status and emotional stability. When you change the way you stand in a relationship, that entire system shifts with you. Here are the first two moments that cause attraction to collapse the fastest because they send signals of internal instability. 1. The moment you start seeking reassurance. This is when you start asking questions like, do you still love me? Or how do you feel about me lately? Or am I still important to you? The behavior is that you feel a sense of coldness, and you react by demanding that your partner confirm her feelings with words to calm the insecurity in your heart. The psychology behind this is that when you need someone else to confirm your value, you accidentally shift from the position of the chosen man, the man with self-worth, to the one begging to be chosen. It creates a psychological burden for a woman. Now, she has to be responsible for your confidence. And nothing kills attraction faster than a woman feeling like she has to emotionally mother a grown man. The Femina Mind mindset is that instead of using words to ask, use your eyes to observe. If her behavior changes, the answer lies right there, not in some fake verbal reassurance. A confident man does not ask if he is important. He knows who he is, and he observes whether his partner is still worthy of that value. 2. The moment you abandon your own standards. Many men think that infinite tolerance is a sign of great love. You ignore the times she is late without a reason, the disrespectful words, or the actions that violate your personal boundaries just because you are afraid of losing her favor. The behavior is that you change your life principles, cancel your gym sessions, or skip important meetings just to follow her temporary whims, even when it is not truly necessary. The psychology behind this is that attraction always needs boundaries to survive. It is like a game. If there are no rules, the game loses its excitement. When you give up your standards to make her happy, she does not feel grateful like you think she would. Instead, her brain records that this man is unable to protect even what he believes in, so how can he protect me? A common mistake is confusing kindness with weakness. Kindness is a choice of strength. Weakness is a concession made out of fear. The Femina Mind mindset is to hold on to your standards even when it creates conflict or risks her leaving. The bitter truth is that women would rather argue with a man who has boundaries than feel bored with a man who always says yes to everything. Do you realize if you have ever accidentally lowered your status by begging for affection? Leave a comment saying aware if you have ever fallen into this state so we can move on to even deeper patterns. These two signs are the beginning of an energy shift. In the eyes of a woman, Attraction begins to dissolve when she feels like she is no longer standing next to a solid mountain, but rather standing next to a fan who is trying everything just to get noticed by an idol. Right now, you might not feel enlightened, just slightly uncomfortable. Not because something was exposed dramatically, but because something familiar is being seen more clearly. There's a quiet tension between what you've believed for years and what your experiences have been trying to tell you. That discomfort is normal, because these realizations don't arrive as shocking revelations. Most of them feel obvious after the fact. Small moments you once dismissed, patterns you didn't want to name. On their own, none of them seemed serious enough to question your choices. But the truth in relationships rarely lives in single events. It reveals itself through repetition and direction. Like a lesson you keep encountering in different forms, or background pressure that slowly reshapes how you act without asking permission. Nothing explodes. Things simply drift, quietly but consistently. What matters here isn't what you didn't know back then. It's how long you've been adapting without realizing the cost. When someone keeps adjusting their expectations, tolerating confusion, or explaining away imbalance just to preserve connection, that ongoing self-compromise becomes meaningful information. And from here, the conversation deepens. Because the next patterns aren't about mistakes or blame. They're about awareness. The kind most men only gain after they've already paid for it with time, energy, or self-respect. If this tension feels familiar, stay with me for what comes next. 3. The moment you make her your entire world. You stop hanging out with your best friends, you abandon your personal passions, and your biggest goal of the day is simply, is she happy today? The behavior is that you are available 24/7. Your entire schedule is set up to revolve around her. You no longer have secrets, you no longer have your own projects, and you no longer have an independent life that makes her curious. The psychology here is that attraction grows strongest in the space between two independent individuals. When you melt into her, that space disappears. She no longer sees a man to conquer or a partner to walk beside, but rather a piece of furniture that is always just there in the house. When you are too available, your value in her eyes drops to 0. The Femina mind mindset is that an attractive man is someone who has his own empire to rule. A relationship is just an addition to that empire, not his entire identity. Keep goals for yourself that even love cannot shake. 4. The moment you start over-explaining. When there is a misunderstanding or when she asks a questioning or suspicious goal, you immediately fall into a state of self-defense. You write long text messages, explaining every single action in detail to prove you are right or to keep her from being angry. The behavior is using logic and long-winded words in hopes of gaining understanding or respect from her. The psychology is that a person with high status and self-control does not have an intense need to prove their innocence or correctness in the face of someone else's emotional reaction. When you explain too much, you send a hidden signal that says, "Your power to judge is higher than my self-confidence." This weakens the image of a decisive man. The right action is to be brief, concise, and stay calm. Your composure in the face of her emotional chaos is what creates respect, not a 5-page logical speech. 5. The moment you fear losing her more than you fear losing yourself. This is the most dangerous red zone in the power dynamic of a relationship. The behavior is that you accept every concession, even things that go against your conscience or core values, just to prevent a breakup. You are willing to lower yourself and apologize even when you have done nothing wrong, as long as she stays. The psychology is that women have a very sharp radar for fear. The very moment she senses that you fear losing her more than you fear losing your own self-respect, the balance of power collapses. She knows that she can do anything, and you still will not go anywhere. And the harsh truth is that we cannot maintain attraction to people whom we feel we can completely control or look down upon. The Femina mind mindset is that you must always be prepared to walk away if your values are violated. The willingness to lose the relationship is actually the strongest weapon you have to keep that relationship healthy. Have you ever looked in the mirror and seen a stranger trying to do everything just to please someone else? If you have ever lost your identity for a person, like this video so we can move toward the moment of realization in the final part. Femina mind does not teach you how to be cruel. We teach you that attraction is a reward for men who are brave enough to stand on their own 2 feet. When you start to kneel to keep someone, that attraction officially ends right there. We have gone through 5 specific behaviors, but there is one moment that covers them all. It is a mental state where once it happens, every tactic or act of kindness becomes meaningless. This is the real moment that every man needs to engrave in his heart and mind. 6. The moment you stop being centered in yourself. Attraction is not lost because you get older, or because you get poorer, or because you make a technical mistake. It is lost at the exact second you move the center of your life over to her side. Flip your perception. Women are not attracted to a man who serves them. They are attracted to a man who has a brilliant life that they crave to be a part of. When you turn her into the sun, and you are just a planet orbiting to find warmth, you have lost your own gravitational pull. The energy shift is real. Women sense this change incredibly fast. They feel when you start acting based on the fear of abandonment instead of acting based on your personal will. At the very second your energy becomes needy, her gaze will shift from admiration to pity or boredom. At Femina Mind, we do not teach you how to play the role of an alpha or use psychological techniques to manipulate the emotions of women. Those things are just a weak shell. We teach you to maintain your internal solidity. Attraction is a natural reaction to a man who does not lose his identity out of fear. The core message is this: you do not need to be perfect or never make a mistake. You simply must not allow yourself to lose your self-respect. A man can fail at work, he can have moments of weakness, but he absolutely must not give up his boundaries and core values just to trade them for the presence of a woman. Do not blame women. Do not blame women when they lose attraction to you. Attraction is an instinct. It does not follow the orders of kindness. If the dynamic between 2 people has changed in a way that makes you weak, her instinct will automatically react. Instead of blaming her, look back at how you have positioned yourself. And in the end, the important question is not what causes a woman to lose attraction in terms of right or wrong. It is also not for you to blame yourself for ruining everything. What is more worth looking back on is this: when you did those things, were you moving away from the confident and bounded version of yourself? Because attraction usually does not disappear because of a single action. It shifts when the energy of your self-respect shifts. Many people believe that if they love more, give more, and try harder, then attraction will return. But there are times when that very overexertion sends a different signal, that you fear losing her more than you are willing to lose her. And when you start acting out of fear, you gradually negotiate away your own standards. Stepping away from such a dynamic is not giving up. Sometimes it is how you stop chasing validation and return to holding your own weight. Femina Mind is not here to teach you how to keep the flame alive with tactics, nor to make you paranoid about every emotional change in a woman. Femina Mind is an observational mindset. It helps you recognize when you are acting from a place of solidity and when you are reacting from anxiety. It is a way to stay calm when attraction fluctuates, and it is a self-respect compass that reminds you that your value should not depend entirely on whether someone still finds you attractive or not. And perhaps the question worth carrying with you is not, "What did I do wrong?" Instead, it is, "In the moment I tried so hard to keep her, was I losing myself?" If you want, you can share your experience in the comments section, not to find people to agree with you, but simply to speak out about what you have realized. And if Femina Mind helps you maintain that clarity, you can stay and follow the channel. Not to learn how to control attraction, but to always remember that your self-respect is the one thing that should never be lost first.